Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Politics Lab on YouTube. My name is Bill Muck. I'm a professor of political science at North Central College, and I'm joined, as always, by Phil Barker, professor of political science at Keene State College. Hey, Phil.
Hey, Bill.
So the big news of the day, Donald Trump has COVID. Go. We don't even have to talk about if it's a big deal or little deal or no deal. This is a monumental deal.
Yeah.
So where should we go?
You and I were texting this morning as this news broke, and I was saying that this is both shocking, right? I mean, we're a month out from an election in a pandemic with a deadly virus, and the president has it. So it's both shocking and also completely unsurprising. I mean, that if you look back at and people have been doing this in the news, but looking back, Donald Trump has, he flaunts the protocols about how you should behave in a pandemic. So he's not been wearing a mask. He's been having these large gatherings and all sorts of other stuff. So it shouldn't be all that surprising if anyone gets the COVID in the world we live in today. But yeah, I mean, this week has been insane when you think about the fact that the tax story, that insane debate, the Amy Coney Barrett was nominated on Saturday. All of this has happened.
White supremacy. I mean, yeah, election fraud. All of this. We got to slow down, and we're only 2 days into October.
I know. What do you want to talk about? I mean, there's so much to this about how this potentially affects the election. I mean, there's a person who's ill, but I mean. But this is a politics podcast, so the impact on the election, the Senate confirmation hearings could be
all of it.
As of this morning, or as of now, there's like 10 or 13. It's like 10 or 12 people who were at the Amy Coney Barrett nomination event on Saturday who have come down with COVID. You would have to assume that that's going to increase, and senators also.
It's a super spreader event, maybe.
Right. What do we make of this?
So I think the one thing is we spent a lot of time talking about the fact that the country as a whole sees race and COVID as like the two big issues, and they want those addressed. And the Supreme Court nomination allowed Trump to pull away from that and switch the narrative. And then him getting COVID brings it right back to center. It undercuts this narrative that he's been pushing, that it's not a big deal, that we're to the end of this. So my guess is that we're going to be continuing to talk about COVID right up until the election, which is bad news for Trump. It has all sorts of little implications of whether we're going to have another presidential debate or not. We're 2 weeks away from the next debate. I don't know how soon Trump is going to be able to get back out. He's certainly not doing campaigning for the next couple of weeks. So, I mean, it is at a moment when he needs to be out there and trying to restart this campaign. This is devastating for him in terms of the political implications, don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, on multiple fronts, like you said. I mean, it makes the national conversation about coronavirus, and it also takes the wind out of the sails of the Supreme Court nomination, because again, so Mike Lee, who's on the Senate Judiciary Committee, has tested positive. The Senate doesn't have. The House came up with protocols for voting, remotely and carrying on business remotely. The Senate hasn't. And so, if other people in the Senate or on the Judiciary Committee come down with COVID, like it looked like nothing was going to stop the confirmation hearing. This might slow it down at least. So on both fronts, it's elevating the COVID stuff. It's bringing in to the this was what today's good grief. It's Friday. It's only been 3 days since the debate. I mean, it was 3 days ago. Trump was likely contagious at the debate when he was not speaking softly. He was, talking loudly for a long time in an enclosed room without a mask. So Biden tested negative today, but I don't feel great about the fact that both people who are running for president are over 70 and were in a room where COVID is being spread 3 days ago. So, I mean, it's not in an era in which politics is not exactly stable. This doesn't help things.
And this brings up real issues of continuity of power, right? I mean, so we've seen this in a number of heads of state. We've the Boris Johnson from the United Kingdom, Jair Bolsonaro, also probably the biggest heads of state who've gotten this now, Donald Trump. It's interesting that all three of them are populist leaders who've questioned how dangerous COVID is. I mean, this shows the way in which that skepticism was really, really silly. But what happens if Trump gets sick, and we hope that doesn't happen. We hope it's a mild case and he gets over it. But at some point, if what happens to Boris Johnson occurs, the administration has to think about, do they pass power to Pence? Apparently, they reached out to Nancy Pelosi today, say, you've got to be ready. This is a much bigger deal than just, Trump getting the sniffles.
Right, because the what happens if it progresses is that you end up on an intubator or whatever. I mean, you can't do the job at that point. I would assume that they are keeping Mike Pence somewhere along somewhere a long way.
5 minutes.
That went very quickly. Somewhere a long ways away, and that they're thinking rationally about this. But again, I don't know how much faith I have in that when the fact that so many people have been exposed because they haven't been practicing essentially the accepted protocols for how to keep us safe working. I mean, what's his name? Meadows, the chief of staff, came out today to do a press conference with no mask on, right? I mean, he's been in direct contact with the president. He's
been exposed. Yeah,
right. It's really frustrating.
Today a number of videos came out from the event with Amy Coney Barrett where they had all those people together. Very few people had masks on. The president of Notre Dame was there. Now he is tested positive. So it is entirely possible. I don't know if that's a super spreader event, but it could be. And you see the videos of this before and after, and people are not wearing masks. They're hugging each other. I've been thinking about, I haven't touched another human being other than like my immediate family in months. And you see these people casually giving hugs and talking to each other and putting their arms around them. It's incredibly dangerous and careless, especially at the highest levels of government.
You have to have incentives even to get your immediate family to come give you hugs, right?
That's right. They assume I'm infected. So no, it's such a contrast between how some parts of the country are handling this and taking this seriously, and the individuals who should be doing this the most are not. There was a study that came out this week that looked at the number one cause of disinformation about COVID, and it was Donald Trump. They said President Trump played the biggest factor in spreading disinformation. So it's really, again, as you started with, it's not surprising. But it is really, really startling. So,
yeah. I mean, we should wrap up. But I mean, by the time we do the podcast on Wednesday, this is they said today that the president has mild symptoms. I think we'll know by Wednesday whether this is something that he gets over relatively quickly or it becomes a more significant thing. But at the rate that we've been going, who knows what we're going to be talking about come Wednesday. So
this is a big deal. So, all right. Well, if you're enjoying these little YouTube videos that we're doing, subscribe to us and share with your friends. And always feel free to tune in on Wednesday for the podcast as a whole. See you later, Phil.
Bye, Bill.